Theians stood at the height of their civilization, their luminous cities rising like glowing fractals across the crystalline plains of Theia. The Genesis-era lessons of balance, unity, and humility served as the foundation upon which they built their golden age. Dyson Swarms, perfected by Hellion engineers, harnessed the energy of their stars, while Selenian architects sculpted harmonious cities that pulsed with bioluminescent light. Ethereal philosophers guided progress with ethical governance, ensuring technological advancement did not come at the cost of Theia's harmony. Dyson Swarm expansion. The horizon shimmered with a brilliance unlike anything Theia had ever seen. Dyson Swarms, suspended in elegant orbits, reflected their stars' light back to the surface in cascading waves of luminescence. For generations, Theians had looked to their skies with curiosity. Now the heavens were a living canvas of their ingenuity. In the heart of Lumina Prime, Alien stood before an assembly of scientists, philosophers, and architects. The council hall, a marvel of Selenian artistry, pulsed with bioluminescent glyphs that mirrored the rhythms of Theia itself. Alien's features carried the confidence of someone who had seen their vision come to life. Dyson Swarms no longer a distant dream but a reality that promised prosperity and harmony. "This is the culmination of our efforts," Alien declared, their voice steady yet reverberating with a sense of triumph. "The Dyson Swarms have stabilized our ecosystems and empowered our cities. They are proof that ambition can amplify harmony, that progress can elevate us beyond the confines of limitation." The assembly erupted in applause, a chorus of pride and unity echoing through the crystalline chamber. Helios, seated among the ethereal philosophers, leaned forward, their expression unreadable. Their gaze, however, lingered not on Alien but on the Gaians, the quiet interpreters whose luminescent signals pulsed faintly as if disturbed. Beneath Lumina Prime's radiant glow, the Gaians pulsed faint signals that reverberated through the council hall's crystalline walls, quiet rhythms that whispered of imbalance. To their bioluminescent patterns, the swarms were not merely tools of progress but tremors that shook the delicate harmony of Theia's geothermal resonance. The lead Gaian interpreter, Finra, rose slowly, their light dimming in subtle but deliberate caution. "The swarms have done more than stabilize," they began, their voice carrying the cadence of ancient wisdom. "We have detected shifts deep within the mantle, ripples that grow with each passing cycle. These patterns are more than warnings, they are precursors." Alien's gaze sharpened, the engineer's resolve unwavering despite Finra's words. "The swarms operate within controlled parameters. Every fluctuation is mitigated through energy relays calibrated to complement Theia's rhythms. We account for every harmonic cycle." Finra's glow darkened further, their tones steady but filled with urgency. "We do not question your calculations, Alien. But we speak not of controlled systems. The resonance we observe lies beyond the scope of our algorithms, a force that transcends what even we understand. You seek to elevate us, but do not forget that Theia's mantle carries our world's soul." Helios interjected softly, their voice weaving a thread of calm into the dialogue. "Perhaps what the Gaians see is not conflict but convergence. Alien, the swarms are your triumph, and triumph deserves reflection." The tension from the council session lingered in the air as Alien and Helios met later that evening, their footsteps echoing through the chambers of the Citadel of Harmony. Alien's determined stride contrasted sharply with Helios's calm presence, each representing opposing yet complementary facets of Theian society. Standing before the glowing glyphs that lined the Citadel's walls, Alien spoke first, their voice carrying a trace of frustration. "Helios, you heard them, warnings built on uncertainty. The swarms have revolutionized our world. Are we to halt progress because of what cannot be quantified?" Helios turned toward Alien, their gaze steady but kind. "Uncertainty is not the enemy, Alien. It is a teacher. The Gaians speak not to stop you but to remind us of balance, the principle upon which our progress stands." Alien gestured toward the glyphs, their fingers brushing the shimmering patterns. "Balance is what we've achieved. These cities shine brighter than they ever have. The mantle holds steady, the geothermal systems are in harmony. Yet the Gaians would have us slow down even at the cost of brilliance." Helios stepped closer, their expression thoughtful. "Brilliance without caution risks becoming arrogance. Do you remember Alcyon, Alien? It shone brightly until it didn't. The Gaians are the voice of Theia itself. If we do not listen, who will?" For a moment, Alien hesitated, their confidence softening. "And what would you have me do? Abandon what we've built?" Helios smiled faintly, their voice warm but firm. "No, Alien. Not abandon, adapt. Progress is a path, not a destination. Let us ensure the swarms uplift Theia, not overextend her." The two stood in quiet contemplation, the glyphs around them pulsing faintly as if echoing their unspoken thoughts. Alien finally nodded, their resolve tempered by reflection. "Very well, Helios. Let us find a way to honor both brilliance and caution." Lumina Prime's crystalline skyline stretched toward the heavens, its towers glowing with bioluminescent harmony, a visual manifestation of Theia's ascent. Alien stood at the center of an experimental field, surrounded by Helion engineers, Selenian architects and Gaian interpreters. The advanced Dyson relay, newly calibrated and ready to unveil its potential, loomed above them like a shimmering beacon of progress. As the relay activated, the skies filled with radiant fractal patterns, a fusion of stellar energy and bioluminescent brilliance that transformed the city into a living work of art. Theians gathered to witness the spectacle, their murmurs of awe echoing through the crowd. Alien turned to the assembly, their voice alive with conviction. "This is what harmony through advancement looks like. The swarms are not merely relays, they are extensions of Theia itself, amplifying its brilliance to shape a future beyond limits." Yet even amid the celebration, the Gaians' unease grew. Finra stepped forward, their bioluminescent signals dimming as they addressed the crowd. "What you see is breathtaking. But beneath this beauty lies imbalance. The mantle's rhythms are faltering. A ripple today may become a fracture tomorrow. This is not a path of permanence, it is a path of risk." The murmurs of awe turned into whispers of concern as Finra's words settled over the crowd. Alien, unwilling to let fear overshadow progress, countered with measured resolve. "The Gaians observe anomalies, but anomalies are not inevitabilities. This relay's calibration minimizes geothermal strain while maximizing energy output. We must embrace the possibilities before us." Kale, representing the Selenians, interjected with a note of caution. "Possibilities that overreach lead to consequences we cannot predict. Alien, this brilliance is undeniable, but perhaps its radiance blinds us to what lies beneath." The tension escalated as the factions within the crowd began to voice their perspectives. The Helion engineers who celebrated and rallied behind Alien. They viewed the swarms as symbols of Theian ingenuity and advocated for further expansion, while the Selenians aligned with the Gaians. They warned of the risks to planetary harmony and urged for slower development. The ethereals found themselves divided. The younger philosophers supported Alien's vision, while the others joined Helios in calling for balance. Helios, sensing the rift, stepped forward to address the assembly. "This experiment shows us not only the heights we can achieve but the questions we must ask. Progress is not a straight path, it is a dance between brilliance and restraint. Let us pause and listen not out of fear but out of wisdom." The experiment's success solidified the Dyson Swarms' role as transformative energy systems, revolutionizing Theian life and enabling the luminous cities to flourish. Yet the Gaians' warnings cast a shadow over the achievement, planting seeds of doubt and division that would linger. Helios began drafting principles for the Second Unifying Accord, recognizing the need for adaptive collaboration and expanded stewardship to address the growing complexity of Theian progress. Quantum crystallography breakthrough. Deep within the labs of Helion engineers, shimmering quantum crystals pulsed with fractal-like patterns of light, their complex structures radiating energy and data far beyond what Theians had ever imagined. Alien's team, driven by their vision of harnessing quantum mechanics for both utility and preservation, had achieved what was once thought impossible, encoding vast amounts of cultural knowledge into immutable crystalline forms. In the demonstration chamber, Alien held a newly developed crystal aloft, its glow illuminating the faces of assembled representatives. "This is not merely an object. It is a memory, a legacy. It holds the essence of our civilization, a beacon to guide future generations and, perhaps, other worlds." The council chamber buzzed with energy, its bioluminescent walls casting faint shadows on the faces of gathered representatives. Alien stood near the central dais, their fingers grazing the edges of a crystalline sample that pulsed faintly in their grasp. Opposing them were Selenian architects led by Kale, and the calm presence of Helios, who observed the growing divide. Finra, the Gaian interpreter, opened the debate with a stark warning. These crystals are remarkable, undeniably. But their creation draws heavily from Theia's geothermal depths. Each fractal pattern that stores your knowledge echoes imbalances that grow larger with each cycle. Alien countered with measured resolve. The crystals are engineered to complement Theia's rhythms, not disrupt them. Their energy imprint is efficient, their capacity limitless. This breakthrough ensures our civilization's essence will outlive the limits of time itself. Kale interjected sharply, their tone carrying the fire of artistic conviction. What you call efficiency I see as rigidity. Knowledge preserved in immutable fractals loses its soul, the fluidity that allows us to adapt, to grow. These crystals might lock us into a future we cannot escape. The murmurs among the council grew louder as Kale's words resonated with the Selenians. Alien stepped forward, their voice rising above the noise. Our legacy cannot depend on growth alone. If we do not preserve what we are now, we risk losing it to the tides of uncertainty. Fluidity is not progress, it is chaos. The tension between Alien and Kale prompted younger ethereal philosophers to join the debate. One rose from their seat, their voice clear yet questioning. Preservation is noble, Alien. But Kale's words carry truth. Immutable knowledge might protect us from stagnation. But what of misinterpretation? What happens if future civilizations misread our essence? Helios finally spoke, their voice steady yet imbued with warmth. Knowledge is the heartbeat of our existence, yet it must remain dynamic, alive. These crystals must serve not as monuments to a static past but as gateways to an evolving future. Let their fractals encode harmony, not hubris. Alien turned toward Helios, their expression softening slightly. You speak of harmony, yet without permanence, how do we secure our legacy? Helios replied with calm authority. Permanence lies not in the crystals themselves, but in the wisdom we encode within them. Let them reflect not just who we are but who we aspire to be. Legacy is not a monument, it is a dialogue. The Gaians deepened their critique, drawing attention to the strain on geothermal systems. Finra emitted faint luminescent pulses as they addressed the room. These crystals may elevate civilization, but we cannot ignore the cost to our planet. Geothermal extraction for their creation disrupts Theia's rhythms that have carried us since the dawn of existence. Alien, visibly frustrated, gestured to the crystal in their hand. We have accounted for geothermal strain. With recalibration, these processes remain sustainable. Are we to let fear of disruption hinder progress? Finra's glow darkened, their voice steady but unyielding. Progress without caution is folly. The mantle's rhythms are fragile. Even the slightest misstep may carry consequences far beyond our understanding. Will you risk Theia's soul for the promise of permanence? As the debate reached its peak, Helios rose to bring the factions together. Theians, we stand at a crossroads, between brilliance and restraint, ambition and humility. These crystals are not just objects. They are reflections of ourselves, who we are and who we can become. Let us not choose fear or arrogance but balance. The council agreed that the crystals should have safeguards. Alien was to use adaptive encoding algorithms that would allow the knowledge within fractals to evolve over time, preserving core principles while ensure fluidity. The crystal's production processes would integrate Gaian feedback to set energy limits to minimize the strain on the geothermal systems. While the quantum crystals were celebrated as a triumph, their creation underscored Theians' growing need for unity in governance. The debate planted seeds for the next principle of the Accord: cultural flourishing and tension. Theia's heart of art and architecture shimmered with unmatched brilliance. The luminous cities, designed by Kale and their team of Selenian architects, reached a harmonious crescendo, a seamless fusion of technology, nature, and creativity. Bioluminescent flora adorned crystalline towers, and fractal patterns of light danced across their surfaces, reflecting the cycles of Theia's Gaian rhythms. At the center of the city stood the crowning masterpiece, the Citadel of Harmony, a structure embodying Theia's ideals. Its spires extended toward the heavens, pulsing with light that resonated in harmony with the Dyson Swarms above. The Citadel was not merely a building, it was a living monument to progress, balance, and interconnectedness. Kale addressed a gathering of Theians at the Citadel's unveiling. This is not just a structure. It is a promise. A promise that no matter how far we advance, we will remain true to our essence. A civilization of harmony, creativity, and unity. The unveiling of the Citadel of Harmony, though celebrated as a pinnacle of Selenian artistry and cultural achievement, also became a flashpoint for growing discontent among the Eosphoroi. For decades, their daring missions to the asteroid clusters and beyond had been instrumental in gathering the resources and knowledge that fueled Theia's rise. Yet as they gazed at the towering structure, glowing with fractal bioluminescence, many felt their contributions were invisible, overshadowed by the achievements celebrated closer to home. At a public forum in the Citadel's amphitheater, Thaler, one of the Eosphoroi's most vocal figures, addressed a mixed gathering of Selenians, Hellions, and Ethereals. Their voice carried a sharp edge of frustration, tinged with a longing for recognition. This city, this citadel, stands as a testament to what we have achieved as a civilization. Yet where in its luminous halls do you find acknowledgement of the Eosphoroi, the explorers who braved the void to bring back the resources that sustain this brilliance? We toil beyond the horizon, far from the comforts of Theia, yet our journeys are relegated to the margins of your songs and stories. The amphitheater fell into uneasy silence, the weight of Thaler's words hanging in the air. Among the crowd, murmurs began to ripple. A few Hellion engineers were whispering in support of the Eosphoroi and agreeing that their discoveries were pivotal to advancement like the Dyson Swarms and quantum crystals. The Selenian architects exchanged wary glances, recognizing that while their artistry was celebrated, it depended on materials brought back by the explorers, and a group of ethereals debated the philosophical implications of recognition versus contribution, trying to frame the Eosphoroi's plight within the broader context of Theian unity. Kale, the visionary behind the Citadel's design, found themselves at the center of the storm. Their work had always been a tribute to unity, blending technological and ecological harmony. Yet Thaler's words struck a chord they couldn't ignore. After the forum, Kale sought out Thaler, hoping to mend the rift. "Your words at the forum were powerful," Kale admitted, their tone laced with sincerity. "But the Citadel was meant to honor all Theians. It is not my intention to diminish the Eosphoroi's contributions." Thaler's gaze remained steady, their expression a mix of respect and defiance. Intentions matter little when the result is exclusion. The Citadel reflects unity, yes, but it is incomplete. Our stories, our struggles, are missing from its light. Kale nodded slowly, the weight of Thaler's words settling over them. "You're right. The Citadel must be a true reflection of Theia, a tapestry of all its casts. Help me ensure your voices are heard." Even though Kale and Thaler had worked toward reconciliation, the tension caused deeper fractures to be revealed within Theian society. Many of the Eosphoroi explorers began to doubt their purpose and feel disconnected from the luminous cities they had helped sustain as the lack of acknowledgement for their sacrifice continued. The Selenian artists and architects grappled that their work unintentionally shunned others even while it was celebrated by their society. The younger ethereal philosophers broke with the elders and advocated for monuments to exploration for the Eosphoroi, while the elders called for broader perspectives to bridge the divide. Helios, witnessing the tensions firsthand, began to formulate a vision for reconciliation. "These disputes are not failures, they are opportunities," Helios told a gathering of ethereal philosophers. "The Citadel must embody not just harmony but adaptability. It must remind us that unity is not static but dynamic, an evolving dialogue among all who call Theia home." This realization laid the groundwork for themes that would culminate in the Second Unifying Accord, emphasizing the need to ensure every caste felt seen, valued, and essential to Theia's legacy. Philosophical enlightenment. The Citadel of Harmony's inner chamber glowed softly, its bioluminescent walls shimmering with glyphs that carried centuries of wisdom. Ethereal philosophers from across Theia had gathered to formalize the ethical principles guiding their civilization's future. At the heart of the assembly stood Helios, their presence as steady and luminous as the glyphs that surrounded them. Helios addressed the assembly, their voice resonating with warmth and resolve. "We stand on the threshold of greatness, yet even now we are reminded of our fragility. Our legacy must not only reflect who we are, but who we wish to become. What we leave behind will echo beyond Theia, perhaps for beings we cannot yet fathom. Let this gathering ensure that we ascend with wisdom, not arrogance." The assembly murmured in agreement, though divisions soon emerged as philosophical debates began. The chamber buzzed with overlapping voices, the bioluminescent glyphs on the walls pulsing in sync with the rhythms of Theia's mantle. The ethereal philosophers spanning generations had convened to answer a question that would define their civilization: how to preserve their legacy in a way that honored their principles and prepared for the unknown. Helios, seated at the head of the assembly, observed silently as the younger and elder philosophers clashed over the nature of preservation. An elder philosopher, Arather, rose from their seat, their voice steady and deliberate. Their years of guiding Theian governance carried weight, and when they spoke, others listened. "Let us not be consumed by fear of permanence," Arather said, gesturing toward a crystalline prototype displayed at the center of the chamber. Its fractal glyphs shimmered with encoded knowledge. "This crystal holds not just information but identity. Our principles, our culture, our struggles, everything that defines us as Theians, can endure beyond time, beyond space. Without permanence, we are whispers lost to the winds." The elders seated around Arather murmured in agreement. "Future civilizations will need guidance," another elder interjected. "If they cannot find it in our wisdom, they may repeat the very mistakes we have overcome." From the opposite side of the chamber, a younger philosopher named Sereth stood, their bioluminescent patterns glowing with fervor. Sereth's voice carried a sharp edge, challenging the elders' perspective. "And if we impose our wisdom as immutable truth, how will those future civilizations grow? Must we insist that our way is the only way?" Sereth paused, their gaze sweeping across the room. "This crystal, this marvel, is not a beacon if it binds. It becomes a cage. Knowledge must evolve, adapt, just as we have evolved from the Genesis era to this moment." Their words drew murmurs of agreement from younger philosophers who had grown disillusioned with the rigidity of tradition. "Let future civilizations learn from our experiences," Sereth continued, "but let them interpret our wisdom in ways that suit their own growth." Finra, the Gaian interpreter, stood next, their glow dim and somber. "You speak of legacy as if it belongs to the stars," they said, their tone carrying the weight of their mantle-bound perspective. "But what of Theia itself? Every crystal etched, every fracture in the mantle deepens the cost of your preservation. If you leave this world diminished, what legacy can you claim?" Their words resonated with the Selenians in the room. Kale, ever an advocate for ecological harmony, added, "We cannot build a legacy for others at the expense of Theia. Our planet is as much a part of our essence as our knowledge and culture. Stewardship begins here." The chamber fell into a tense silence, the factions locked in their convictions. Finally, Helios rose, their presence commanding yet calm. The glyphs on the walls seemed to brighten in response, mirroring their steadiness. "Legacy is not a conflict of permanence and change," Helios began, their voice weaving a thread of unity through the divide. "It is a balance, a reflection of who we are and who we wish to become. Arather, Sereth, Finra, you each speak truths. But they are fragments, incomplete on their own." They gestured toward the prototype crystal. "Let these crystals carry not just what we know but how we think, our questions, our doubts, our aspirations. Let them evolve with the cosmos, guided by the harmonics of the universe itself." Helios turned to Finra. "And let their creation honor Theia. Our legacy must not scar the mantle but resonate with its rhythms. If we cannot preserve Theia, we have no legacy to give." The philosophers reached consensus. The quantum crystals would encode Theian knowledge as fractal glyphs, designed to adapt over time. Guided by cosmic harmonics, the glyphs would reflect Theia's essence while remaining open to reinterpretation. To address ecological concerns, Gaian feedback was integrated into the encoding process, ensuring minimal strain on the mantle. The act of preservation became a dialogue between knowledge and stewardship. The ratification of the Second Unifying Accord. The citadel of harmony stood at the heart of Lumina Prime, its spires stretching toward the heavens, pulsing faintly in synchrony with the Dyson Swarms above. Inside the citadel's grand hall, bioluminescent glyphs illuminated the assembled casts, their light refracting off crystalline walls engraved with fractal patterns. The glyphs depicted the history of Theia from the Genesis era to the current Ascendance, and hinted at the future yet unwritten. Helios stepped to the center of the hall, their presence steady and luminous, guiding the assembly with calm authority. "Today we reaffirm who we are, not as individuals nor as castes but as Theians. The Second Unifying Accord is not merely a document. It is a reflection of our essence, our unity, and our stewardship. It binds us to each other, to our planet, and to the cosmos. The Second Unifying Accord represents the evolution of Theian unity, forged amid the complexities of the Ascendance era. Rooted in stellar harmony, it expands stewardship to encompass not just Theia but the cosmos, ensuring progress respects both planetary rhythms and celestial balance. Through adaptive collaboration, it acknowledges the fluidity required in governance, encouraging castes to transcend traditional roles and work dynamically in response to changing challenges. Finally, its cornerstone, legacy stewardship, embodies a commitment to preserving the Theian essence, not as rigid monuments, but as living dialogues encoded in fractal glyphs that reflect growth, adaptability, and responsibility to future life. Together, these principles solidify Theia's place as a beacon of harmony and ambition, leaving behind a legacy that aspires to resonate across time and space. One by one, representatives from each caste stepped forward, contributing to the fractal glyphs that would encode the accord into the quantum crystals. Thaler, representing the Eosphoroi, held a shimmering crystal aloft, its surface etched with fractal patterns reflecting cosmic discoveries. This crystal carries the spirit of exploration, the paths we have paved beyond Theia, the wonders we have uncovered, the questions we leave for others to answer. Let our curiosity be a bridge to the unknown. The glyph pulsed gently as it was placed within the ceremonial crystal array, resonating with the Dyson Swarms and illuminating the hull. Elyon, representing the Hellions, offered a crystal charged with Dyson Swarm energy harmonics. Its fractals pulsed with radiant light, mirroring the interconnected systems that powered Theia. This crystal represents our innovation, the brilliance of engineering and the endless possibilities of energy. Let our technology illuminate paths forward, always guided by harmony. Elyon's crystal joined the array, its energy amplifying the interplay of exploration and art. Finra, representing the Gaians, stepped forward with a crystal that glowed faintly, tuned to Theia's geothermal rhythms. This crystal carries the pulse of Theia herself, the balance that sustains life, the harmony that must never be forgotten. Let our stewardship ensure that every step forward resonates with care and respect for the worlds we touch. The glyphs within Finra's crystal linked seamlessly with the others, completing the fractal array. The ceremonial crystal now pulsed as one, a living testament to Theian unity. Helios turned to the assembly, their voice steady and resonant. Let this accord remind us that unity is not static. It is a living commitment. Stellar harmony, adaptive collaboration, legacy stewardship. These principles define not just what we preserve but how we preserve. They are our gift to the future, our promise to Theia, our dialogue with the cosmos. Helios raised the ceremonial crystal, its fractal glyphs glowing brightly as they harmonized with the Dyson Swarms above. By this light we stand as one, bound not by borders but by purpose. May those who find this accord see not just who we were, but who we aspired to be. As Helios placed the crystal within the citadel's central spire, the glyphs along the walls pulsed in synchronization, spreading radiant patterns across the city's skyline. Bioluminescent flora shimmered in response, their light flowing into the Dyson Swarms and casting waves of brilliance across the stars. Theians across Lumina Prime gathered to witness this moment, their voices joined in harmonic resonance, a glow dance symbolizing their renewed commitment to unity and stewardship. The ratification of the Second Unifying Accord marked the culmination of the Ascendance era, binding Theians to their principles while preparing them for challenges yet unseen. Though the fractal glyphs pulsed steadily within the crystal, subtle shifts in Theia's mantle hinted at forces beyond their control, challenges that would test the limits of their stewardship in eras to come. The Ascendance era marked the golden age of Theian civilization, a time when their unity, creativity, and technological brilliance reached unparalleled heights. Through the Dyson Swarms, they harnessed the energy of their stars, fueling luminous cities that reflected the harmony between their ingenuity and planetary balance. The quantum crystallography breakthrough preserved their legacy in fractal glyphs, ensuring their essence could endure beyond time and space. Cultural flourishing celebrated the fusion of art and nature, while adaptive collaboration resolved tensions among the castes, weaving exploration and creation into a shared narrative. As the light of the Ascendance era began to fade, cracks in Theia's utopia emerged. The growing dependence on Dyson Swarms led to debates over mantle depletion, straining the harmony between technological ambition and ecological stewardship. Younger generations questioned the adaptability of the Second Accord, while seismic activity revealed the first signs of Theia's orbital instability.